Hello, welcome back to Blender Sushi LiveNoding. In this episode, we're gonna take a look at Blender cycles, and basically, I will I would like to bake texture that's procedurally generated using cycles render. I have this side experimental project that I'm doing for the face. Basically, for the iPhone 10, I'm generating some kind of texture procedurally, and for every frame I'm baking out these LED dots, and as a result I will have something like this on Giphy that I can use in another app. It's my side project, but by doing that I'm actually making this little script that can kind of bake uh, cycles surface frame by frame. So a little bit complicated, but I'll try to explain it here. So cycles render and file save as cycle surface baker, and we're gonna switch to compositing, and let's see if I can do this properly. So we need any just some kind of surface. Just use a cube for now. The cube will need some kind of UV. So I think I will just use Suzanne. Suzanne in latest version have a UV, so we can generate UV for Suzanne. And if we switch to UV and then selecting Suzanne and hit tab, go to edit mode, we can see Suzanne has a UV. So that's cool. We can then bake any kind of texture, procedural texture from cycle for Suzanne. So save this, and with cycles I will quickly generate procedural texture. Brick checker, I'll just use Musgrave. I think Musgrave can be pretty interesting to try. So I wonder if we can see the texture right away. I'll use mapping, and there's also texture coordinate. I think this should work. So there's generated and UV. Well, cannot see anything yet. If I render it out, yeah, we kind of see it if we are rendering it. So probably we'll try doing it this way anyhow. So Suzanne have procedural Musgrave texture, and now I want to bake it out. I want to bake it out as a flat texture based on the UV. So how do we do this? From Blender Stack Exchange, I found one of the answer. Basically, we create a texture. So I'll make it 1024 by 1024 pixel, and currently it's black, and I'll call it UV. Oh no, it's just image bake. And then here I will be using an image texture and simply pointing to this image. So image bake. The vector UV comes from Suzanne. And so by doing this, and then I'll save it. If we go to here, render pane, and scroll down here under bake, so close everything, we have this bake. So with Suzanne head being selected, if we switch to one of these, you can use combine or maybe emit. I'll use emit for now. And with this image texture node selected and Suzanne being selected, if we bake it, it's gonna bake the texture of this Musgrave texture into this flat image. Let's see if this is actually working. No active image found in material slot, Suzanne. Right. It's asking for image texture. Huh. Maybe I need to plug this into the diffuse. Yeah, but this is not correct. That's not what I want. Let me try doing it like this, bake it. So now, somehow it's trying to bake something. See, it might be working. Let me try again. With I'll have a light, like a lamp up here, and try to bake it again. This time I'll, instead of diffuse, I'll have emission. So Musgrave texture goes into emissions, go into surface of Suzanne, and then bake. There you go. That's it. Now it's working. I don't know why I'm getting the error before, but see, now we have this Musgrave texture that we can basically render, right? We can have like maybe a different scale, and this actually looks like a reaction diffusions kind of texture. Looks very strange. I know there's a frog or a toad that with this kind of texture is very poisonous. Okay, let's say we have this texture, and then now go back to solid. We bake it out, and so based on this Susan head UV, we get our texture is being baked. And we can also try with a, like, let's say we have like a color on this light. I can have different color, right? So okay, red, yellow. And this Suzanne, let's try the diffuse and try bake it out again, this time using combine. So bake. It's taking a bit longer. It's calculating all this diffuse, glossy, transmission, subsurface, ambient occlusions, and emission. So I think this is very powerful because perhaps we can like do like a texture projection mapping and then bake it out, you know, any kind of animations that's having effects on this 3D mesh can be baked as a texture. So probably good for game and things like that. Yeah, what I'm doing really here, I'm kind of making like an LED, like a virtual LED for the iPhone 10. It's and by the way, this is the script. I'm using this script to bake frame by frame of the texture. Oh, there you go. That's being completed, right? This is the result, and the light actually kind of attached into the surface. So this is cool. That's if you want to do a baking of the combined, what is it, surface shader. But for now, I think I can experiment with the emission. And let's say with the Musgrave texture, we're gonna replace it with a gradient, or rather color ramp. So Musgrave color ramp, that means we can change the color. Let's try this. I didn't plan this one, but we'll see how it goes. RGB, HSV, I can use clockwise, counterclockwise. So let's see how this look now. So we got a more like a poisonous Suzanne. Musgrave, maybe. Yeah, something like this, looking pretty cool. We can randomize further. The scale is nice. Really, I think vector math, perhaps, and this texture moving around can be kind of interesting. We can use animation nodes to control this texture actually, and then so it's becoming like animated texture, and then you can then bake it frame by frame using using this script. You can type it. You can try typing it. Probably I shouldn't give a demo of this now. It might do something weird. But basically the idea is this script will do the clicking, like the bake of this bake button for every frame changes. So if I'm using animation nodes and I'm using cycles node here, cycles, and selecting this Susan material, grab the vector math. We have this vector that we can change. I found this, maybe there's a bug or something. This doesn't update properly, I don't think. You see, doesn't update, it's really weird. So combine XYZ, plug into this guy. Now if we select combine XYZ, which is this guy right here, we can then play around with the texture. Oh, wait. This should update. That's weird. Yep, there you go. Now this guy is updating. There you go. I think I tried it before, vector math, and then see, this doesn't work. Maybe it's a bug. Combine XYZ, however it works. So you can play with the X, Y, and the Z of this texture on the fly while it's the frames updating, and then you can bake the texture. I probably will do the baking not while recording, but here if I switch to render, now the frame is controlling cycles material. So if we now doing this and then running the script, it's gonna bake frame by frame. If I just bake a single frame, it's gonna do the calculations, looking at these cycles nodes, and then okay, I create this texture for you that you can save it out. So yeah, cycles material, cycles procedural textures is a lot, right? You even have script. Not many people use this OSL script. I don't know why, but I remember a while back ago I did some study of this OSL, and then I actually wrote it on my blogs. OSL shader writing is like, you need like totally like different set of mind. It's not an easy thing to study, but with OSL, right, you can create cycle shader. And if you can generate cycle shader of whatever shader here, like the one I have down here. So this one was being generated using OSL. The script looks something like that, and then I don't know how I did it back then. It's I just did it the basics, even the basics looking kind of interesting. You can use the OSL shader, plug it into this guy right here, and then plug it into cycles, and then you can bake it out. You can basically generate unlimited amount of texture procedurally, whether it's using OSL functions or, you know, any means, you know. So I think that's really powerful. So yeah, try this one and see how far you can go. And then if you made something interesting, let me know in the comment section below. So thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.